Welcome to the Slade Ham experiment, everybody. I am Slade Ham, your host. I am here in my midnight spaceship drinking coffee, sunlight outside. The ship is taking off early this week. It's a busy one. I've got stuff to do. I've got problem with shooting the way I shoot in the studio. I can see myself sometimes when I'm filming on the monitor, which means I can notice things like my asymmetrical hairline. I'm in a middle ground with this hair. I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. I was wearing a hat for forever. Then I chopped it all off. Then I grew it really long. I shaved it at one point during the pandemic. It's a madhouse going on up there. But I'm realizing I don't have a good vampire head. If you slick my hair back and maybe go bleh, I wouldn't be good at it. You would laugh. Why is that vampire's widow's peak so lopsided? So you ever see those dudes with those perfect, like the line that just it's symmetrical? They look like a military general. It does that thing where it goes up and back and out. Mine just looks like a jagged coastline. So anyway, that's what happens when I notice myself. I'm drinking coffee this morning from a good audience member and friend, Mary. Thank you. The package received, and in there, some coffee from a region of Ethiopia I have not indulged in coffee from. There are like, how many are there? 5, 6 regions? Sadamo and Yirgachev, I drink a lot. And this is from the Limu region, I believe. Limmu. Is that the one? God, Ethiopian coffee brings back so many memories. I'll offer another episode. But man, I'm sitting on it immediately. How does something do that to you? I have a sip of coffee and I am right back on this terrace overlooking Lake Chamo. I can hear this. I can smell it. I can feel it, and I can certainly taste it. And that's a damn good memory, too. And it's probably exactly a decade old about right now. Wow. Time and stuff. For those of you who have been paying attention, a couple of things. Also, a very, very charming shot of the John Roebling suspension bridge. That's beautiful artwork there. Okay. Things are afoot. They are afoot. You can do a couple of things. I'm working on some things, some writing pieces that are going to be coming out. My newsletter, the best way to get a hold of some of these. Some of them if you're a stand-up comic, they will apply to you. If you're just a human being, they'll probably apply to you. Sign up for the mailing list. Go to sladeham.com. I don't do spam. I send a piece out every 2 weeks. It's something I've been thinking about, contemplating, writing about, exploring. Usually a kick in the ass if you need it. If you sign up, you also get a copy of my book. Not physical. You can, if you want that, you got to buy it. But this, you get a digital copy. EPUB will come directly to you, and you're all set up, and then you'll get the emails, and that'll be cool. If you were part of the newsletter, you would have also known about the Kickstarter for my special back when it happened. You would have also possibly gotten an invite to the streaming premiere I hosted last week, because we have a finished special. I got a finished beginning to end version, music, sound, like it's all done. It's incredibly, incredibly exciting. If you want to see that before anyone else, jump on the mailing list. That's all I can tell you. And with that said, it's brought out, it's bubbled to the surface. You know, I've been looking at how I'm playing this next year, thinking about how the special is going to come out, thinking about what's going on. And I've always been a fan of the Stoics. I've touted the writings of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus, or however you pronounce his name, for a long time. I've done episodes on them. And I was reading a quote that makes me think of kind of the mindset I've had over the last, that I've not just intentionally even adopted, but realized once I had adopted it, realized, wow, this works, and then done everything I could to bolster it. It's what I call staying ahead of the avalanche. I've mentioned it on here. Seneca says this in Letters from a Stoic. Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. And after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day. All right, well, you can take that second part and you can do with it what you will. For me, it's the first part. It's the do one thing. Acquire something that will fortify you against all of these things, these disasters, this impending doom, the stuff we can't predict. And it's important before you do this. This is what I've had to realize, right? I used to just prepare myself for the worst. What's the worst that could happen? Problem is, the worst never happens. Rarely happens. If it does, you can probably stomach it. Get through it, right? You need to be prepared for the most likely to happen. Or the things just adjacent to most likely. Maybe just likely. Maybe just possible. And if you can do this each and every day, right? You gotta sit with the shit you're scared of, for starters. You gotta dissect it. Is this real? Am I imagining this stuff? We got so many imagined fears. There's a lot of quotes about that too. But when it comes to the actual stuff, this is the stuff that saved my life during the pandemic, during shooting this special. I could go back and give you examples of jobs that I've been fired from, that have closed. Maybe I'll talk about that in a second. The stuff that just happens. What do you do every day to do a little something, right? For me, a lot of it's financial. I'm going to live in a uncertain artistic world. How am I going to pay my bills every day? What happens if something goes sideways? What happens if one of these contractor or these companies that I contract for decides they don't want to work me anymore? What happens if they close or go out of business or sell, and a new owner comes in and doesn't want to use the same talent? What happens when management in certain organizations that I work for shift or pivot or change their mind or be petty or any of that stuff that I have no control over? Those are likely things. So for me as a comic, it's about diversification, right? How do I spread my chips out over the whole of this craps table? So you want to play like Pie Gal, right? There's enough chips to offset. It isn't about winning it all. This is about continuing the game. I'm going to get so twisted up in these metaphors and thoughts I'm trying to get to. But if you can look at the big picture, and you can say to yourself, all right, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to, if you're a stand-up comic, am I trying to become Dave Chappelle? We talked about this on another episode. Or am I trying to be a comic who lived his life telling jokes, getting paid for it, happily organizing the thoughts in his head and turning them into arguably art and living off of it? It's so much more enticing than paparazzi outside my gate and everything else. But you go back to the casino analogy, there's different games that you play for different reasons. If you go put all your chips on one color on the roulette table, you're trying to win it all. You're trying to win everything. You're that dude who walked in and put $8,000 on a hand of blackjack. That's one way to play. Pie Gal's another game. I think you could play that for 47 days, and you don't even have to know how to play. They'll just tell you what to do, and it's almost always a push. Like you just can play forever. And if that's your goal, I want to go to the casino and drink for free and have a good time with my buddies and not go completely broke. I want to survive and enjoy myself and have a good time. Take advantage of all of the things that are around me in this environment. Then that's the game you want to play. If you want to run in and throw it all on one Black 59 or whatever, I don't even know if that's a real number in bingo or whatever that game is. But when you do that, you're basically telling people it's all or nothing. I'm going all. I'm not worried about building longevity. I'm not worried about leaving behind a body of work, blah, blah, blah. I'm about coming in, swinging for the fence. And if it doesn't go over the fence, I'd just rather go back to the dugout. That's how it seems like a lot of people are playing the game right now. And for me, if you're trying to do the way I'm trying to do it, which is to stay in it, then every day you hedge it just a little bit more. You find a way to set aside a little bit of money. You find a way to diversify, like I said, so there's too many gigs, so that if one disappears, you're not just stuck with your hand in your pocket begging for help. You're looking for something that keeps you in a position where when something like the pandemic happens, you don't have to resort to all sorts of things to pay your bills or to cover yourself. You got a little bit of a nest egg. When I making the special this last year, it actually required me to take some time off of the road. I also recognized that the special is the only thing that's going to get me into the road rooms I want. So there was no way for me to go out and work the way I'd normally work or want to work or try to bring in the money. And the only way I could do any of that was if I'd hedged my bets just a little bit. Sort of skied faster than the avalanche. It's about looking over your shoulders, seeing where that fallen ice and snow and rock is coming from, where it might likely be headed, and finding yourself an out before it gets there without being unrealistic about its danger in the process. Simple. I look at a lot of the social media stuff right now as a lottery ticket. I think that's what's troubling to me, because I'm not a lottery player. I'm a worker. If I'm going to have $1 million, I don't think it's going to be from scratch offs. Or from picking six. It's going to be because I built something worth $1 million. That's the fundamental software that runs inside of me. And I used to tell people that the lottery was terrible. Why would you play the lottery? It's so stupid. This is the government just fucking people, man. Just taking advantage of the low class and just giving them false hopes and blah, blah, blah. And they don't have this money. Anyway, that's how I used to feel for a long time. But the truth is, lottery tickets give you hope. If you're assuming you're not addicted to the lottery, assuming you're not spending your child's college fund or your child's food fund or your food fund on lottery tickets, man, if you buy a ticket a week, there's a group of teachers in Kentucky did that just recently, this month. They've been playing the lottery for like 10 or 20, forever. Decades. Same 6 numbers, like a group of 30 of them. They finally hit it, won $1 million. I think they all took home like 25 grand. Nothing crazy, small, about what they pay teachers. But here's the thing about it. That $1 a week, man, is like it's a little bit of hope. Just the potential. You ever pay attention to how much hope can do for you? Just the thought of something. On a bad day, someone calling you and telling you a gig might happen. Hey, man, I might get you on this thing. It may not happen, but for the next 24 hours till you get to know, you're a happier person, right? There's potential in there. That's what lottery tickets do for people. You spend $5 a week or $1 a week or whatever that is, and all the way until they draw those numbers, till the letdown happens. There's this upswell of hope. Maybe this will be the week. Maybe we'll get out the trailer park or whatever it is. So I try to look through that lens when I think about how I see people play social media. And it doesn't quite translate for me. I think the lottery ticket ends up, because lotteries are sort of playing unlikely odds for outsized rewards. Is that a fair way of putting it? Right? It's gambling. The outcome is not correlated to the input. And when you're playing the social media game, this isn't just about creators, but that's where I'm talking from. You're playing it with so many people. So many people. All the people. And you're fighting for that one tiny little crack in the wall. and you're all racing towards it. And it just, if it pays off, it's so wonderful. But if it doesn't, it's kind of like the people who spend all their money chasing the lottery, right? You could spend $100,000 a year. You'd probably win. It probably wouldn't be $100,000. That's what I get into my own head about with social media and some of this stuff. How much do I have to put in to justify what comes out? Is it worth it? I do not know. But I think that I'm going to separate myself from the title of content creator. That's what I think. Because it indicates that I'm playing that same game. I got to come up with a name for it. I don't know what it is that I do anymore. But I got to come up with a name for it. Because anybody can do this shit. That's the problem. I think that's what frustrates me. I looked up, there was a person. You ever just look up old exes? You ever like Google on Facebook or whatever, somebody, I wonder what they're up to. I looked this girl up a while back from like my mid-20s, right? My Beaumont days. And she's an ambassador for I should have written this down. For some alien race that sends ambassadors to Earth. And she speaks in light and harmonics and frequencies. And she chants over crystal noises. Or I'm not even sure how to explain. And I'm willing to go with you into a lot of meta woo-woo maybe stuff, right? That I don't write off because I know it's woo-woo to you, but it's scientific deep down. This is batshit. I think she thinks she has a bedroom still on a spaceship kind of thing. And none of that really bothers me. You're allowed to do whatever you want to. But when you have 10 times the followers I do on social media, I mean, I'm talking significant, 40, 50,000. These aren't giant numbers, but they are not insignificant numbers. And when that is the case, I got to stop and ask myself, hey, man, is this the game you're playing? Because I can't compete with that. I'm not willing to go to those edges. I just write jokes. I can't pretend to have a personality I don't have, or to be weird or quirky in ways that I'm not, or part of some alien race, or to have figured out stuff or this or that. I just can't get into it. I can't find a hard line. I'm unapologetic, or I'm this or that. I'm a guy in a truck making videos. I can't commit to that. I can't commit to being a space girl. I can't commit to any one of those fringe personalities. And I'm just watching people that would never do this stuff are now social media famous. I'm watching people do fired videos now. Have you seen this? Hashtag layoff or whatever it may be. TikTok's full of them. There was one girl, our technological age. I come from an age where you could walk into a store and you could hold it up with no mask on and walk out, and all they'd be able to do is give a police sketch. Now you can film every 24/7 moment of your stupid life. So people are getting fired in meetings and taping it. And it's all this we've Truman showed ourselves. Look at this. I gotta put this on. I gotta put this out there. Instead of dealing with it, instead of processing it, instead of being fired, we've all been fired. I've been fired from every fucking job I've ever had that's been a job. If it didn't close, I mentioned that earlier. If the radio station closed and the first comedy club, GK's Comedy Club, closed. After that, everything I've ever done for a real living, I've just been fired from. No questions asked. I was fired from the grocery store. I was fired from Best Buy. I was fired from Joe's Crab Shack. I was fired from the metal shop. I was like, I've never even gotten to quit for real. That would be nice. Forget taping anything. I want to walk out of something. I only did that one time. That was the temporary job I had. I just gotten fired from the metal shop. And the dude who ran that temp agency, my buddy, he gave me a job in a field. They said, show up in this field in August in like Fannett, Texas, Hampshire, somewhere. Whew. I drove out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. And my job, as the sun rose, was to load these 60-pound sacks of like plastic polymer onto this pallet and then wrap them up. And then a crazy old Chinese man in a forklift would ride out and scoop them up and ride off and then would load up another pallet. And the was it was me and another dude who had Down syndrome. Not another dude who had Down, I don't have, but like a dude who had Down. So me and him would do this, and he would talk to me and I would talk to him. And this went on from 6 in the morning to about 10. And then I took my lunch break, and the guy working there was like, here's the break room. And he walked me into like this old, like dilapidated shack. And there was an old beat up wooden table in there and like a threadbare couch. And there were 2 Hustler magazines on that table. And I said, I'm going to go grab something from McDonald's. Anybody want anything? That's how I got them. And they all said, yeah, I'll have a this or that. I'm like, all right. They tried to give me money. I said, no. Because I knew I wasn't coming back. Nuh-uh. I was there for 4 hours. I'm not working in a place where they got porn in the break room, and the dude I'm working with is just, he was a nice dude, but we just, after about 8 o'clock, we didn't really have a whole lot to talk about. And then it was hot. Whew. I quit that job. My point is, when people get fired, as it happened to me, they just let you go. And you're always, they would always fire me. That's why I don't think I took it that hard. Because they always should have fired me way sooner. They never got me for any of the stuff I was really doing. They would just fire me for being insubordinate. And I was like, man, if I just been subordinate, I could have gotten by with so much more. I was making a killing in that Best Buy. In that Joe's Crab Shack back when I didn't have any morals. And I was working for corporations. But the point is, now, you get fired, you tape it, you put it out there, and we're right back to that lottery ticket. Because it's not about, I know the emotion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm projecting onto regular people what goes through a content creator's head. But, man, when you tape an injustice, whether it's something being done to you, whether it's World Star style, whether it's cops or whatever, when you tape that, the internal emotion is rarely, how can I use this to help people? I think it's a selfish emotion that sort of pops up. How can I leverage this? There's still some part of you that's like, I want this to help someone, right? We're not bad people. But there's also a part of us that is like, how many views will this get? Right? Otherwise, why would you edit it? Why do we edit stuff to fit? Oh, I got to get this fight video down to 30 seconds or whatever, the 60 seconds or the. So when you take something like a firing and you chop it all up and you put it out there, it's a bit of a lottery ticket. You've bought a ticket in the hopes of winning societal pity or the title of victim in a weird way. It's these are, because you see people, you can't be faulted for it. This isn't a bad thing. You see people get GoFundMes. They lost their job. They posted something. Suddenly the GoFundMe has $346,000 in it. And you're like, you got fired from a Waffle House for fighting people on the clock. This is a real example. But I think it's dangerous for us to be wiring our brains this way in terms of risk and reward. There is something fundamental in there, some software, some coding, something that we are mucking with, our own little XML feeds or whatever they are. I don't know. I just make up words that sound like they're technological. Anyway, these people are getting fired. It's very frustrating because you can listen to the corporate talk. Someone called it jargon monoxide, and I laughed. Because these companies are softening their language. They're saying things like, what was it, Citi fired 20,000 people. Said it was a simplified operating model. UPS, 12,000 layoffs were an attempt to fit our organization to our strategy. They don't say fired anymore. Involuntary career event, right sizing. They use this language to soften the blow on the person being fired. And the problem is, people know, especially working class folk, they know when you're being a condescending prick, you HR idiot. As that video, watching them scramble and read their scripts and try and find those heartless people. You should say, if that's your job, if you're a corporate firing person, just go get a different job. Let a worse person than you do that until maybe we prove that as a society we're better. I'm not saying you got to run your business into the ground just to keep jack-off employees on the clock. Fire the bad people. Don't hire more than you should. There's a lot of stuff to business that's difficult that people being fired and filming it probably don't understand. It's complicated. But, boy, when you're down to filming it and then using that as currency, you've already put your brain in a dangerous place. That creativity should be out there finding another job, you know? Not just talking about this one girl. I'm talking about it in general. And I'm talking to all the lottery ticket buyers. Sometimes it's better to just make a little money and finance the lifestyle you want than having to stand in line with a bunch of other people hoping for a shot at the top. It's not very likely. The special's coming soon. If you haven't seen it and you would like to, I've got some sneak peeks I can give you. Send me a message and leave a comment. I like you a lot if you do. I have a Discord that is just starting to get functional. We're going to have some fun with that. There are just all sorts of ways to get involved in 2024, and hopefully all of that will culminate in a visit to your city. So get your Reddit fingers ready. I'm going to be asking you guys to post some clips as the special comes out. Go by, sign up for the newsletter, get a free copy of the book, and I will see you guys on another episode of the Slade Ham Experiment very soon.